Hey everybody, welcome to Crossroads on 91.7 FM Stores, WHUS. My name is the Reverend Brian Blair and I'm your host for the show, and we've got a wonderful guest today, Angela Garcia Clark. Hi Angela.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. Give me 1 second. Can you hear yourself in the headphones?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Uh-oh, that's no good. I hear myself. Want to try again?
Hello.
Do you hear this now?
I think so.
All right, good. We're going to go with that. You're definitely on the radio, trust me.
All right.
You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I have a big mouth, so that works out all right. Hey, everybody, before we get into the show, just a few announcements. There's this great church on the campus of Uconn, St. Mark's Episcopal Chapel, here in Stores, and there's some wonderful things coming up. If you've got a pet or you like pets, whether they be lizards, dogs, cats, we are doing a Blessing of the Animals in honor of St. Francis Day this Saturday. There's free food and lots of fun pets, and some nice people show up too. So come on by at 10 a.m. We do that on the front lawn of the church on North Eagleville Road. We are starting a series on Wednesday nights where we're going to read a great book by this guy, Marcus Borg. Oh no, why am I forgetting the name of the book? It has to do with Christianity. I'll remember in a second when I don't need it, right? The Heart of Christianity, that's the book. We're reading that Wednesday, this Wednesday and next Wednesday. The following Wednesday, we're going to watch a TED Talk. So come on down to watch a TED Talk. Great stuff happening Wednesday evenings. Great stuff happening all the time at the church. So check out our website and see what's going on and see what you'd like to participate in. Angela, you might have something going on maybe in the music program or in your life that you want people to know about. Is there anything special or fun going on?
Well, I do know there is a choir concert coming up. I think that's like October 14th. Whatever that weekend is. There's Brothers Sing On, which is all of the men's groups. And then the day after that, there's a full choir concert. So, yeah, that should be fun.
All right, so these are Uconn choirs, so they're incredibly talented. Good, very good. Well, that brings us to the show, actually, because the first thing I'd love for you to tell us about is what you do here at Uconn.
All right, yeah. So I'm a first-year grad student. I'm getting my Master's of Music and Voice. So that's like vocal performance, I sing. I just finished my undergrad, also in vocal performance. So
where was that?
That was down in Winchester, Virginia. So I, grew up in Connecticut and Bristol. So I figured it was time to come back home, be closer to family.
Wait a second. So you're in Connecticut, which has the Colt family, and you're in Winchester, Virginia. That's not where they make Winchester firearms, is it?
Maybe. There's a lot of
that's
Winchester.
Funny. That's very funny. Anyway, I'm sorry. So let's get back to you. So you just graduated last year. You're here. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome to Uconn.
Thanks.
How's it going so far?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been a lot to get used to, and I have an assistantship, so now I'm teaching a class. It's called Stage Skills for all my little freshmen, yeah, apparently me getting into grad school, they were like, yeah, you seem qualified for this.
Well, you made it in, so you must be.
Yeah, I must be.
Well, what do you do in Stage Skills?
So a big part of our voice program is the opera, and so, even just recital singing. So it's, just a person and the pianist on stage. And so Stage Skills, we are trying to help the younger people. So freshmen, we have the occasional sophomore, but it's usually just freshmen. They'll come in and we teach them like what to wear for an audition, how to treat a pianist, and then right now we're in the process of all the students are singing a piece and they have to come in knowing their translations and character development stuff, and like don't stare at the floor the entire time you sing because it's easy to do. I've done it. So it's just teaching them how to be comfortable performing in front of people.
Well, how does one treat a pianist?
You have an audition, slide them $20. No, I'm joking.
There you go.
No, it's just from the beginning when you walk into, let's say, an audition, it's usually a pianist you don't know, you haven't worked with them a lot, so you're putting a lot of trust into them knowing the song, or at least doing it justice well enough that you can sing with them, because they're there to support you. And so it's about going in and like, how do you introduce yourself to them, making sure your music is organized so that way they're not, give them the best chance of success, because if they do well, then hopefully that'll give you a better chance of doing really well too.
I see. Well, that sounds good. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Is this the first class you've ever taught?
Yeah, I mean, I used to tutor, but that was just one-on-one with people, and I have 12 students, and fortunately I have another woman that I'm working with that she helps, we're both teaching, we're both TAs, so it's new for both of us, but yeah, it's been a learning experience for sure.
So you're getting a master's in, what would you say, vocal?
Yeah, it's a master's of music and voice, so voice is the emphasis, so a lot of times I'll just say master's in vocal performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you're all done, you will have mastered vocal performance. That's fantastic.
That's the idea.
So how did you get started with music and being a vocalist?
Yeah, well, my family is a pretty musical family. My mom, growing up, she took piano lessons, and she had to sing in the choir, and my uncle is a phenomenal musician, taught himself how to play guitar. He was in a band for a while, so definitely a lot of music coming from the family. And then on my father's side, he just loves to sing. Music's a really big part of his life. So growing up, I had very nurturing family members who were trying to raise me in a musical household, and so they wanted us to. I have an older sister, so they wanted me and my sister to be as well-rounded as possible. So I've played just about every sport, and I've done music as long as I can remember, because it was just something that my family saw as important. Was, you do art, you do music, you play sports, try to do as much as you can, because there's a lot to learn about sports. I learned a lot about myself. I learned I'm not a terribly competitive person, and so sports weren't really my thing, and music wasn't really my sister's thing. So she was the basketball star, and I was the singing star, I guess.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
So what's your earliest memory of, really singing? Not just sort of I enjoy singing, and so I sing in the shower, or, nursery rhymes or whatever.
At my elementary school, we had a talent show every year, and I always thought that was so cool. And I always knew that I wanted to do music in some form or another, so I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I was like, Mom, I want to play guitar. I want to be a rock and roll goddess. I don't even know. So I took guitar lessons, and I did that in 3rd grade for the talent show. And then I was like, wild idea. 5th grade's coming up. Why don't I sing for the talent show? Because I had always loved singing, and I remember arguing with my teacher because you had to be in 5th grade to be in choir. You couldn't do choir in 4th grade. And I was adamant that I was going to be in the choir. I wasn't in the choir, unfortunately, but I was like, I'm going to sing. We're going to make this work. I'm going to figure it out. So 5th grade came along, and I was like, I'm going to sing for the talent show. And I wanted to sing some rock and roll song. And my mom was like, absolutely not. That is not age appropriate.
Wow.
And so I sang the Jonas Brothers. My mom has a recording of it. She shows all my friends.
That's nice.
So yeah, that's the first time that I remember getting positive feedback, because we had a little audition. I sang for the talent show, and they were like, yeah, you're good. And there were teachers who came out, and they were like, oh, what a lovely voice. You have the voice of an angel. And I was like, oh,
and that's where you got your name, Angela?
I guess.
So wait a second, I'm remembering, don't the Jonas Brothers have that song, Mbop? Is that them?
Maybe.
That's not the one you did? You didn't
no,
do it?
I did When You Look Me in the Eyes.
I don't know it.
I don't know, I was trying to be the romantic one, I guess.
Did it work? How did it go?
I think it went really well. I looked back at the video of it, and I stood on stage with my arms crossed and sang in a teeny tiny voice, but all my friends were up in the front waving their arms. So
with lighters?
if they were allowed, yes, there would have been lighters.
All right, so we got a little bit of what you do here at Uconn and sort of how you've developed a bit as a vocalist, right? All the way from the Jonas Brothers with your folded arms until now. What would you say about yourself as a person of faith? The show is about, it's called Crossroads, and it's about the intersection of a person's everyday life and their faith life. So how would you define yourself or describe yourself as a person of faith?
Well, I've always, I grew up in the church. I grew up in an Episcopal church that later went to being an Anglican church. And once again, goes back to my parents wanting me and my sister to be as well-rounded as possible. We were raised in the church that my mom was raised in, and they instilled in us a really solid foundation of a faith in God that I've carried with me my whole life. And right now I'm at a point where I don't exactly know what I would label myself faith-wise, but I do know that no matter where I go or what I do, I'll still always have that foundation of God, and it's just a matter of finding a church that feels like home. So.
All right, so the term faith can be a slippery term, right? Because we use it sometimes to mean like a faith practice or a belief or a belief system. So when I'm listening to what you're saying, your belief in God is unmoved, but where are you going to practice that? Where are you going to express that and experience that as far as being part of a community? You're working on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Well, full disclosure, right? You come to St. Mark's on Sundays, right?
Exactly.
Lately, we're very happy that you're there to sing the Jonas Brothers on Sunday with us. You grew up in an Episcopal church. You're currently part of one on Sundays, at least. What is going on that's making you wonder about where is best for you?
Well, my family is definitely more on the conservative side, where me and my sister have always leaned more towards the liberal side. And so I think part of it is that there are just teachings that in some churches, especially the one I grew up in, that I just don't agree with and don't really fit my lifestyle, I guess. So I think a big part of it is there are certain aspects of the Christian church that have been pretty repressive, and I don't really buy into those ones.
Because you wanted to be a rock star.
Exactly.
You wanted to be in the choir in fourth grade when you had to wait till fifth grade.
Exactly. Right. I've always been a little rebellious, I guess. But yeah, I think part of it is just knowing that, religions can evolve and they can change. And I think that there are still some people who are kind of stuck in an older way of thinking. And especially with our younger generations coming up, I feel like it doesn't really fit with the mindset that people have to have for some people, a really conservative mindset that's going to fit with them. Hence, my family who's stuck with this church for so long. And even though they're still going there, I don't tend to go to their church anymore because I don't really agree with the teachings, and I think that they haven't had a moment to really look at the world as it is right now and realize that some of their teachings are a little outdated, and some of the things that they are preaching are definitely, it puts a barrier between them and the rest of the community, because there's a lot of people that they're saying, you're not like us, so you can't worship with us and you can't be a part of our group. And I think that part of my experience as a Christian has been an experience of openness and acceptance. And when you tell people that they're too different to be a part of your group, I just can't get behind that. So
Are you comfortable talking about which people they're putting these barriers up against?
Mm-hmm. Well, so my church, we used to be Episcopal, and then a few years back, there was some discord in the church because of...
Is that a music pun? Sorry.
Always puns.
All right.
I live my whole life with puns. But there was some... people disagreed about the homosexual lifestyle. That's in quotations.
Oh, wow.
And so that really divided some people. So my church, being on the more conservative side, decided that they were going to go over to the Anglican church that fit their ideals a little better, because they were sort of, like I said, stuck in their ways of thinking. And so, me growing up, I identify as queer, and so I've been very open with my family, and my parents have been extremely supportive my entire life. And so I would go to church just to appease my mom because I knew that it made her happy.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah. But the older I got, I think the more she understood that because of the way I was raised, I had a solid foundation in my faith, and that wasn't going to go anywhere, even if I wasn't going to her church specifically. I've just been trying to find a place where I can be fully comfortable with who I am and feel accepted and not feel like there's a part of me that I have to hide, which is how I felt in the church that I grew up in, because they had more conservative views on the gays and gay marriage. And I remember when they legalized gay marriage on the federal level, I was at church that Sunday, and they read a...
What happened? Did the roof cave in?
I know.
Was there lightning?
The sky
the ground opened.
Yeah. There was a letter from someone, whoever's in charge of the Anglican churches.
Was it the one who had the phrase in quotes, the homosexual lifestyle?
Yes.
Oh, really? That's not funny.
So I laughed so that I won't be sad.
Right.
They sent out a letter basically saying, unfortunately, this is the way that that the world is going today, and the government has decided, blah, blah, blah. And we as a church are going to stick with our beliefs, and if a gay couple comes to us, we won't marry them in our church. Which, I respect that. I respect that they have their way of thinking, and they stick to their beliefs, and although I don't agree with them, I'm glad to... It taught me a lot about sticking to the principles of what you believe in, even if there are going to be people who disagree with you. And so, they have their moments where they're problematic, but I also... I can respect from a distance why they're doing what they're doing.
Well, you're a special person for that. I don't... you and I might have to disagree on that. Okay. And we might have to respect one another for respecting our opinions. I find that kind of thing to be sad because of what you mentioned earlier, where it's like, well, what are we doing here? Are we building bridges or are we building walls? And as I understand, the Christian message is one of bridges rather than walls, and there you go. So, well, I have to give you a lot of credit, though, for that level of maturity and not wanting to, throw people off a cliff and being patient with your family. Mm-hmm. You still feel accepted and loved in that situation?
Mm-hmm. Very much so. It's actually pretty funny. Funny, I say. So my parents had always been super supportive. When I came out to my parents, I was a bit of a chicken because I'm a singer. I went to choir camp in the summer. And one year I decided I was going to come out. So I wrote a letter and I gave it to my sister and I said, when I'm gone and I'm in New Jersey, give this letter to Mom and Dad.
That's smart. There you go.
So they read the letter, and then that night my mom called. She was like, how are you feeling? Are you settled in? Like, is camp good? And I was like, yeah, it's great. And then she said, I got your letter.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh boy, here it comes. And she was like, you know, me and your dad, we love you. We accept you for who you are. Like, this doesn't change the way that we view you, especially because we've kind of always known. So I got a lot of support from her. And then after all the, you know, gushy, okay, we accept you, we love you talk, my mom went, oh my God, you're not going to believe what your dad said. And I went, oh no, what did Dad say? And she said, he said that it's my fault that you're gay because I let you be a vegetarian. And to this day, I
never heard of that. I've never heard anyone say that.
I still don't really know what that means. But my dad's a super accepting guy. He's super open. I think that he's also a bit of a jokester.
Uh-huh.
And so he just says things because my mom was probably like, oh, it was hard for Angela. My dad was like, I'm going to make a joke now.
Yeah, I hope. That's a pretty good one.
No, and since then, like, me and my dad have had conversations about it, and, like, that's just, you know, his way of, anytime he's like, this could potentially be awkward, I'm gonna make a joke, so, you know, lighten the mood a little bit, so.
Make a vegetarian gay joke.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, you seem to have a very healthy, you know, response, reaction, approach to the whole thing, so I'm glad that you're happy.
Yeah.
Did you sing in church? Because you are currently singing in church.
I did. So we had, growing up, the church I grew up in has progressively gotten smaller, but there have always been, like, a solid bunch of people that have always been there, and to this day I still consider them family, even though I know that we'll disagree on certain things. But there are just certain people that have really stuck through. The church has gone through a lot once they made the decision to go over to the Anglican side. We lost our building, and for a bit we were worshiping in a gym. And I think something that was really important that I learned from that was that they said, it's not the building that makes the church, it's the people. And so that's always been part of the reason why I feel like I don't want to, like, settle on church, because I want to find the people who make it a church. And, you know, it's not about, like, oh, this is a really pretty building, or, like, wow, this church has a lot of money, so they can afford to, like, do a lot of mission work, you know, like, all that stuff's great, but when it comes down to it, it's really the people that are important. And I learned that from that church, which is why, like, it still has a place in my heart, even though we disagree on things. But yeah, it's definitely, I kind of lost track of where I was going. Well,
I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, the idea that you love to sing, and that you do it now. You're working on doing it professionally in one way or another. You're certainly mastering it, because you're in a master's program. But, you know, music touches all sorts of people in all sorts of ways. And I'm wondering, as a spiritual person, what you understand or what you believe about why does music move people?
Yeah. So, I remember where I was going. So when we had the big church building, we had, like, a full choir and an organ, and it was beautiful. My mom used to play piano at the church. And as it got smaller, we had a worship group, so we did a little more contemporary. We did a lot of Casting Crowns. They really love their Casting Crowns over at Trinity Anglican. And then because I was the singer, they would be like, okay, this week we want to do a song that, like, showcases Angela. So they would ask me every now and then to, you know, do a song with them for communion or something. So they were really big on giving me opportunities, but I think that was, once again, goes back to the, like, what is the church, and, like, who, it's all about the people and everything. And that was one thing that they were like, no matter where we are, like, we're going to make the music thing work. And so the worship group that we have now kind of came out of we had this need for the music. Like, we needed the music. There was no way that we could just give up on that. And so that's why we formed a small worship group. It's like some guys with their guitars and someone who's playing the electric keyboard. And so I think that music is so important to the church experience because, like you said, it brings people together. It's a way for people to connect. And a lot of times with music, there's something unspoken about it that it's hard to put into words, like what it can mean for someone. And like music can be so moving. And sometimes you'll be like, you'll hear a song and like it'll make you tear up, and you're like, I didn't even know that like that was something I needed right now. And sometimes like I just feel like it always has a way of like bringing out these feelings that you didn't know were there and like really making you face that. So.
It was interesting, the other night at church you played for us a song that's by Linkin Park. And I was a little surprised because the music I'm familiar with them is always really sort of hard rock and roll, and this was almost like a ballad.
Yeah.
So when you chose that, just as an example, what were you going for? What was the idea?
Yeah. So a lot of our readings lately have been about, people